Let me ask you something. Have you ever snapped at your child, raised your voice, or said something in the heat of the moment that you instantly regretted? Maybe it's because your toddler has just thrown their dinner across the room again. Maybe your 10-year-old has done that whole body eye roll or muttered under their breath, whatever, while walking away. Maybe actually mid-argument with your partner. You brought up that thing that they did 10 years ago that you swore you were over, but then you threw it in their face. I think we have all been there to some extent. By the way, welcome back to the Emotionally Intelligent Parenting Podcast. I'm Stephanie Pinto, your host. Here's what I want to say about this loud and clear is that messing up is 1000% going to happen because we are human. As a parent, as a partner, it is literally unavoidable. You will yell. You will say things that you regret. You will roll your eyes. You will probably slam a door. Maybe it's like the cupboard door in the kitchen, or you're doing the angry dishes. Maybe you go quiet when you should speak up. That's like me. But the thing is, here's the good news, is that it's not actually the rupture that defines your relationship with your kids or with your partner. It's actually the repair, which is why I'm so excited I'm talking about this. I don't know why I haven't talked about this on the podcast yet. I'm pretty sure I've done some YouTube videos on it. Anyway, we're talking about repair today because, like I said, we're gonna mess up. So instead of fearing these messy moments, we actually just need to get, I'm not going to say really good at what comes next, which is the repair, but I reckon just kind of work on it. Just get a little bit better on that repair part. I have had to work so friggin' hard on this because I tend to shut down and I stonewall and I go quiet and I close off. My friend and I from school used to actually joke about it, and we would say that we would both go into this like ice queen mode because we just had no skills to after like an argument or a disagreement. Today's episode is all about this. We're going to talk about how to repair with your child after you lose your cool, how to teach them to repair when they mess up, because of course that's going to happen, and also even how to handle those emotional curveballs in your romantic relationship, like when those old resentments sneak back into new arguments, or just when things are, getting messy. And a reminder that emotionally intelligent parenting is not about being perfect. It's about showing your kids and yourself that we can come back from hard moments with honesty, with empathy, and with, of course, connection. So whether your child is 4 or 14, or maybe your partner just kind of caught the tail end of your stress spiral, this episode is going to walk you through some practical tools, even some repair scripts, and maybe some, I want to say, like mindset shifts that are going to bring you a whole lot more calm and closeness back into your family. I've worked really hard on this episode. I have a bunch of notes. I don't want to forget anything. So this one is close to my heart because I have struggled with it for a long time, like my whole life. Okay, so just before we begin, I want to acknowledge the Darug Nation. They are the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, work, and record this podcast. I pay my respects to First Nations people, their elders, their ancestors, and I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, and I stand in solidarity towards a shared future. Okay, so let's talk about what to do when you mess up. Repairing, maybe after yelling or an argument or a fight. Let's dive in. First thing I want to say is we have to normalize the mess up. I'm calling it a mess up because it's just like a familiar term for me. Like, I messed up, I'm really sorry, like, let me fix this, and I didn't mean to do that, blah, blah, blah. So I just call it a mess up, but whatever you call it, it might be something different. I don't know. So of course, we know, I think on the surface level, no person or no parent is perfect, but sometimes we don't really deeply feel that, and I totally get it. Emotional intelligence and being emotionally intelligent is not about never yelling. It's not about never losing your cool and being this cool, calm, collected robot. Like that's not human. I don't know who you are if you are that person. So it's about what we do after we mess up. Second thing I want to say is yelling doesn't mean you're a bad parent. It just means you're human and very likely dysregulated. And that happens to all of us too. So repair is where this like magic of connection and trust building happens, which is really, really powerful. I remember one argument that we had, and my husband came back to me. I don't even remember what the argument was about, But he came back to me pretty soon after to do this repair thing. Right? I think he apologized and he connected with me, and like we had a hug. He instigated like a hug. I just melted. I was like, oh, I think part of me was like, thank God I don't have to be the first one to, like it's really, really powerful to the nervous system, and it's powerful to the relationship as well. He's actually much better at doing it than me. I don't know why. I'm the one in the emotional intelligence space, but he's really good at this stuff. It's weird. Okay, let's talk to a little bit about like what do we do after we yell. I'm going to kind of go through these things quickly, but then I want to go a bit deeper into some of them. Okay, so the first one is, of course, we have to regulate ourselves, especially if we are feeling that heat or our volcano has just exploded or we're like really mad and really pissed off, which is usually how we are feeling when we have just, said or done something that we regret. Regulate yourself first. Like if you take nothing away from this episode, perhaps this could be it. That when you've done that thing that you feel crap about, regulate yourself. What do you need to do? It's different for everyone. I've probably got some episodes or YouTube videos on it, but like, what do you do when you're in a dysregulated state and you need to come back to this kind of balance to like feel okay or to feel grounded or calm? You cannot connect with someone if you're still in fight or flight. It's probably just going to add fuel to the fire, and then you'll get back into another argument. Then we've got to acknowledge the rupture. Unlike me, don't like sweep it under the rug and stonewall. Acknowledge that something has happened. Maybe it's as simple as I yelled earlier and I didn't mean to. I'm sorry if that was scary. I'm sorry that I did that. I didn't mean to act like that. Let's talk about what happened in the kitchen earlier, that kind of thing. It's really, really profound when you can acknowledge the other person's feelings. This is hard. It means we have to get out of our own head and how we're feeling, because we're usually feeling like we're wronged in the situation. So for your kids, it might be validating your kids' feelings. Could be like, it's okay to feel upset. I think I would do. Or I get what you were saying, taking ownership as well. Like that wasn't your fault. The stress got the better of me. I yelled and I shouldn't have. I should have handled that better. Like these sound like big words when you were not raised. A lot of us were not raised hearing these things and experiencing them. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And then we can offer reconnection. Like, can we have a hug? Or do you want to watch TV together? Let's do something, or whatever that is for you and your partner or your kids. See if there's a moment where you can reconnect. Sometimes it's like, do you want me to make you a coffee? That's like what maybe I would do. I guess a key tip is do not expect your child or your partner to like instantly bounce back. Just let that go. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You need to give them space, because if you think about it, when you are upset and you've just been in an argument, which is kind of what's been happening, you're not always ready to like, bing, okay, let's talk about it. I'm totally fine and I love you and everything is happy and rosy. Like that doesn't happen. So don't expect them to instantly be fine and to be open and to communicate and to be connected to you. I think we have to give time for that to build back slowly. It's almost like keep the door open, but don't force it. Hope that makes sense. I want to talk a bit about how does this teach emotional intelligence, especially for our kids. It doesn't matter if you have a 4-year-old or a 14-year-old, like I said back in the intro. Like it doesn't matter what age this that the person is that you're having this interaction with. Could be a kid, could be a toddler, it could be your father-in-law, I don't know. What you're doing when you just do little elements of this, little bits, is you're actually modeling self-awareness. You're modeling accountability, which so few of us had as kids, right? And you're also modeling empathy. Okay, so kids will learn that it's okay to feel, it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to own them without shame. And this goes for your partner too. So if it's not just your kids, because we're modeling to our kids all the time, like my husband has modeled some of this to me and I'm like, oh my God, look at that. Like, how does he do that? And it's safe to do that. And this is how we can do it. I can like model off him kind of thing. And again, I know I'm like pressing the point, but pretty much none of us grew up experiencing this. Oops, alarm. Phone alarm. None of us grew up learning this, right? It's been so foreign and so unfamiliar to a lot of us. And so it's like this visceral, like, ugh, can't do it. Like, that's not what we do. This is bad. It's wrong. It's a sign of weakness, right? So I think there's like a fear under there sometimes. Definitely is for me. Okay, let's talk about how we can teach our kids to repair, because this can be tricky. Instead of demanding, say sorry, which I have been there. Oh man, I used to do that when my kids were little. Didn't work. I would get like, you know what they would do? They would spit out a sorry, which was completely not meaningful. And then they would do it with like this face that they like, we're not sorry at all. I was just feeding them this word. It was useless. It was pointless. So instead of demanding a sorry, we can try something like, let's talk about what happened, or we can fix this. I've got you. Hey, I'm on your side. How do you think your friend or your sibling felt? What can we do to help them feel better now? We need ideas. Okay. I love this idea that I'm on your team, I'm on your side. Like, let's go and check if they're okay. Let's go and offer them something, like get their pillow and put them on the couch and, get the ice pack for their cheek that they've just, had something thrown at, that kind of thing. I think we need to help them build the skills behind the apology, not just that word. So ideally, we want to help our kids to notice how they made the other person feel. Okay. Helping them to like take responsibility. And for little kids, it's just kind of saying what you did. Like, I'm sorry, I hit you, or I shouldn't have hit you, or I shouldn't have grabbed that. I was so mad and I pushed your tower over, that kind of thing. So you can do this for little kids. You can do this for like teenagers, and then obviously older. It's noticing how you made them feel. It is taking responsibility for their actions, and then it's kind of making amends in a way that still feels good for both sides, right? Because no one likes that shame, yucky feeling of like, I've done something wrong and now I have to make it up to them. So it's in a way that kind of feels good. So maybe it's just doing something nice. Some examples of this might be, for some kids or actually some adults, it's a hug. I know that sounds so simple, but it's really powerful. It could be a drawing for a little kid. It could be a note. For an older child, or you could write it for I remember writing a note when my kids were like maybe 4 or 5, and I was like, I'll write, I'm sorry, I love you, or something. Like, I scripted it out for them, but you know what I mean? Modeling is powerful. Maybe it's offering to play with them. Maybe it's just saying, I didn't mean to hurt you. I would start with like, are you okay? Here's your pillow, or here's your toy, or you can choose the show. Even for older kids, if you've got teenagers, you could be like, okay, you can choose a show, or like, hey, do you want me to get you a drink for dinner? Like simple things that show I care about you. I want to do something to help you. I feel bad about what I did. So I'm going to talk about, because this was me, people who go into shutdown or stonewalling. It's like emotional withdrawal, basically. That was like my MO. I think people who go into this kind of shutdown are often very misunderstood. But there is so much going on underneath the surface. If this is you, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so I think why it's hard for people like us to start that repair is that, number one, our nervous system is completely overloaded. Okay. When someone goes quiet, it's usually not because they don't care. I think actually for me, I was angry or mad or whatever, but it was never that I didn't care. It was because my body had gone into like this freeze mode. It is a protective survival response. I know this sounds dramatic. It is not. For people like me, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Our nervous system gets overwhelmed, and then shutting down feels safer than engaging. It feels safer than talking. It feels safer than opening up and being vulnerable and admitting that you did something wrong or you acted how you tell your kids not to, right? It's really hard. There's also this fear of making things worse. It's almost like, we're at this point. I don't want it to get any worse because it's already scary and I hate it. I can't tolerate it. So there's this like fear. If we speak up, then what if I say the wrong thing? What if I trigger another argument and then it gets worse and then you leave me? Like it's that bad, right? I think silence kind of feels like a protective way to prevent more conflict, even if it creates distance. And that's obviously the risk that it has, right? I'm just trying to explain for people who maybe have a partner who does this, or if your kids shut down, this could be what is happening. Another thing, this was me a few years ago, I had a very low emotional vocabulary. I had very low confidence. Like this was almost never going to happen for me to speak up and to own my part and to admit fault and that I did something wrong. My skin would have crawled. A lot of us were not taught how to express emotions, especially when things were getting tough. So just consider that maybe these people, they might not have the words. They might not have the trust in themselves to navigate these emotional, messy, really stressful, scary times. So they might not have the words, right? They might have zero blueprint for knowing how to do this. Shame and guilt are like super high during these moments. When we shut down, people who shut down, we feel bad for doing that, but it's also at the same time, like we don't know how to come back from it. There's so much confusion. And this is like, to be honest, this is what's happening under the surface. On the surface, we're just like mad and we're not ready and we don't want to talk and we can't talk. So, but there's, if we actually let ourselves think about it, there's a lot going on. Also, I kind of mentioned this a little bit before. We often have some learned patterns. So if these people, let's say this is a partner of yours, or maybe it's you, right? If you grew up in a household where emotions were avoided, not talked about, maybe silence was the norm, things got swept under the rug, well then repair may not even be a skill that they've ever seen modeled. And I think we have to acknowledge that. If that is you, give yourself some grace and some compassion. Oh my God. And if that's your partner, then same thing. Give them some grace and compassion. It's almost like the blind leading the blind. How am I supposed to do this when I never was taught this skill? Let's talk maybe a little bit about how people who go into shutdown can start repair. This is something I have had to start doing, and it is very difficult. And I'm being gentle on myself. You know, I still get frustrated sometimes. I think the first thing we need to do is just know like our signs and our signals of when this is happening. Learn to notice when you're shutting down. Maybe it's that your chest is tightening. Maybe your mind goes blank. Maybe you start to feel numb or like far away. For me, I started to feel that fainty, like I'm going to hit the floor, like that kind of feeling. Like I got that overwhelmed in arguments. It's literally happened. So awareness is step one. Second thing I think is take space intentionally. Okay, so instead of like disappearing, which is what I used to do, I used to just like go off to my room and shut the door and shut down. Instead of that, you could try saying something like, you know what, I need a little bit of time, or I need to go calm down, or this is getting too much for me. I'll come back and we'll talk this through later. Or can we pause on this for now and come back to it later? I don't know, find your phrase of what works for you. This does take a little bit of work, right? What this does is it keeps that door open and it lets the other person know that you are not abandoning the conversation and shutting down. It's that you need like a break, which is totally reasonable, I want to say, when emotions are running high. You can use some repair starters when you are ready, like gentle, low pressure kind of openers. Things like, you know what, I'm ready to talk about what happened earlier, or I've been thinking about what happened earlier. I want to talk, or I'm sorry for shutting down earlier. I was really overwhelmed. Maybe can we start afresh? Practice these small little brave steps. You don't have to like go from 0 to 100. You don't have to be perfect. Even one sentence is like a powerful starting. The goal, I think, here is not to be like into a full heart-to-heart D&M right away. It's just reconnection. That's just your goal. Can I reconnect with you rather than staying apart and disappearing, basically? Another, I guess, little tip is that it is really powerful to start rewiring your mind around conflict. I had this idea that conflict meant things are broken and they can't be repaired and I'm going to lose you. Like, that's how scary it was. Conflict doesn't mean something is broken. It just means that this thing matters. And of course your kids matter, or of course your partner matters, or of course the thing that you're arguing so heatedly about, well, most of the time it matters. Sometimes you realize it actually doesn't matter, but that's okay. But that's what conflict means, right? The more you practice repair, the safer it will feel. Like, just tiny, tiny steps, I promise you. So I want you to, I guess, take away a couple of things. If it was me, it would be that repair is not a sign of failure. And mess ups are not a sign of failure. Repair itself, though, is like a huge moment of courage. Like, it takes a lot. Every single repair builds emotional safety, trust, resilience as well. And so there is so much we can do in those moments. I actually want you to think about, sometimes I realize I run my podcast episodes like a mini masterclass. Like, it's more than a conversation. I'm like, I want to give you some tips. I want to give you some advice. I want to give you some strategies, and I want you to take one thing away, and now I want you to go and implement it. Anyway, it gives you a window into, like, if anyone has done any of my courses or thinking about any of my emotional intelligence courses on my website, this is like a window into it. They're super practical and I pack tons in. So there you go. There's a little plug. It's a next step if you want to, like, go further into this and actually have some coaching in a online course at your own pace. There you go. Take a course. Of course, messing up doesn't mean that you're failing. It just means that you're living. It means you're a human. It means you're learning, and it means, things are happening in real time. And that's what's happening for every single person on the planet. The beautiful thing is that every rupture, like every break, every mess, every argument, every fight is actually a chance to model something really powerful, something very healing. Whether you yelled at your child in a moment of overwhelm, or maybe you brought up those old wounds with your partner, maybe you said something that kind of didn't come across quite the way that you wanted it to, you can always repair. I didn't say this, I think, earlier, but it is never too late. It's even if it's 2 days later or a week later, there's still value in going back to that person and saying, hey, can we talk about what happened last week? Wouldn't that blow you away if someone came to you that you had this maybe a disagreement over text with or email and it was left in a really difficult way? If they came back to you a week later, you'd be like, huh, that's really impressive, mature. I don't know what the right word is, Yeah, it's admirable. Maybe that's the word. So when we do this repair, we're not just patching things up, we're actually building emotional safety, which is really, really huge. We're showing our kids that relationships can survive hard moments. I wish I learned that as a kid. I was always just so afraid. Relationships can survive hard moments. And you're kind of proving to yourself that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. So go easy on yourself, practice the pause, use that kind of repair checklist in your head. And remember that your ability to own your humanness is probably one of the most emotionally intelligent things you can ever do. It's huge. I would love to ask you, if you found this episode helpful, please share it with a fellow parent or maybe a partner who might love to hear this today. Until next time, please keep leading with love, and don't forget, these mess ups are inevitable. Repair is where the magic lives.